Hello, everybody. Welcome to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio. I'm your host, of course, Dr. Christopher Salute. You are listening or watching The Barber Shop. How's everyone doing? You know, as we always do, Cece down below producing, she's going to let you know we are going to be sharing the show for a minute. It's just what we do. We like to make sure that everyone's watching the show. I actually spammed a couple of folks. Cece, I spammed a couple of folks today with the show. And I kind of accidentally spammed somebody who is like, you know, the person that I've had that big crush on, and you know, it was an interesting kind of funny dialogue. So come watch with me live. Of course, if you're watching on TikTok, you know you're only going to watch about 10 minutes of the show. We're going to put you on for 10 minutes. Then if you want to watch the rest of the show, just go on WGSN-DB. We're on Facebook. Come watch with me live and comment. Everyone needs to be commenting, right? So I got some great feedback, CC, about today's show. I'm super excited to talk about it. Today, we are going to talk about the dreaded, controversial BBW Bash. I can't even say it. It's like that's how like ingrained in my brain, so controversial and so like it's just a negative thing for me, the BBW Bash. So again, if you're watching on TikTok, comment away. If you're watching on Facebook, comment away. And then we're going to bring you over to Instagram after 10 minutes, so comment away there. I got some really interesting feedback from some folks on the BBW Bash side, and I want to talk about that. I want to talk a little bit about the format of the show, right? If this is your first time watching, what do we typically do? First, we're going to talk about what's going on with me. That's like my little like 3% narcissism right there. Really interesting things going on. Lots of interesting things going on with my university. Lots of things interesting going on with me personally. I'm off the dating apps once again. I'm just kind of doing my thing, you know. Had somebody that I was serious about. I don't think they were serious about me, and that's fine. A couple of months ago, and you kind of learn the hard way. But I'm just kind of doing my thing, you know, kind of having my own hot girl summer, you know. I'm going to paint my toenails white. What's going on with the network? So if you haven't noticed, the logo is being put back on. This new logo is being put up on our what do we call it, on our advertisements, and it's the Going Bold Network. So what's going on with me personally, if you haven't been watching, right, if you haven't been paying attention to what's up with me, I am getting rid of my magazines. They were a really big part of my life, and I really took pride in them, and I do take pride in what I did, but it's time to let them go. But we talked a little bit about Cece and I, my producer and amazing friend, and she said, "Are you going to keep the name bold?" And I mean, I've got it tattooed on my arm. So like, I'm bold, right? Like I'm going to be bold, right? Am I going to be Bold Magazine? No, I'm not. So we've decided to name our network the Going Bold Network. And the Going Bold Network is, for now, it's going to be just on Wednesdays, but it's going to be, hopefully, I mean, we'll make it a full week of shows. It's going to be a full week of shows just on men's topics. Now, is it only for men? No, we want you to tune in. We want you to give us your feedback. We want to talk to you. You know, it's not this chauvinistic kind of thing where we're just doing whatever. Like, come talk to us. Come let us know what you're thinking, you know. But it's a show catered to men, or a network catered to men. We want to serve men in a way that's not toxic, that's not super masculine, that allows men to be in a space where they can speak freely, where they can be accountable, where they can change and grow and do awesome things. So after this show, you're going to see a debut of our new show with Cece, the Boy and Girl Show. So I'm super excited about that. And we're going to get into the barbershop. Now, before we jump into the barbershop, you know, I like to do, if you're not a religious person, but you're a spiritual person, that's super dope. Like, that's cool too. We're going to do a quick moment of silence, or if you'd like to pray. My homeboy Roulette, who had his show on just before mine, and just before him was Neil McMullen, brand new show, The Pub. But Roulette's not doing so hot. Roulette, I love him to death. We're going to talk about that on this network as well, like men who say I love you, and I'm a hetero dude. Roulette is not, and that's fine. But I love Roulette like he's a brother, and we connected so quickly when we did. And Roulette's not doing so hot. Roulette, Delgato, if you don't know who he is, he's got some things going on. He's got some COVID happening. I think he's got some other things going on. I don't know what he's said publicly, so I don't want to disclose all the stuff. but he's got a GoFundMe, which I just learned about, and I'm sorry, Roulette, I didn't even know how freaking self-centered of me, but I'm going to go ahead and donate to that for sure. So before we get into the BBW Bash conversation, if we could just have a moment of silence or a prayer for Roulette, I really would appreciate that. And like I said, if you're not a religious person, like, just hit it up with a moment of silence. I appreciate that. All right, dope. Well, welcome to the barbershop. You know, it takes a couple minutes to get through all the stuff, but tonight we are talking about BBW Bashes. Now, I have had definitely, I don't know if you want to say like a controversial history. I was involved with BBW Bashes for a little bit, and I don't love it. I don't love that I was even involved with them. I don't love that I have to say that. Like, I just don't love it. Cece, by the way, what do you think of this glass? This was actually, somebody had gotten it for me as a gift. It holds a cigar in it. So I'm like thinking, since it's the men's network, let's go super stereotype, and let's get the big rock glass with the cigar, right? It's club soda, by the way. I'm not a big drinker. I had a beer, I don't know, 2 weekends ago. It was fun, but like, not a big drinker. So first of all, why are we talking about BBW Bashes? Why is it relevant? Especially if you're on TikTok. All my friends who are on TikTok, you may have seen a lot of people talking about a BBW Bash. First of all, we'll hit up the name BBW Bash, which is like my least. I don't want to say hate. I don't love the BBW phrase. Okay, big beautiful woman. If you don't know, and the reason that I don't love it is when you search BBW, you're typically searching fetish. You're typically searching adult. Okay, adult. You know, pornography, whatever. If you search other things, plus size, straight size acceptance, fat liberation, fat phobia, fatmesia, all these other terms that are involved with, of course, you break out the cigars. Yes, Timmery. Look, I'm not teasing you. I don't even have the cigar. You know, for the next show, I'll get the cigar out for you. But these are terms that are typically associated with plus size women. BBW, in my opinion, and I had a conversation with somebody I'm talking to today about it, and she loves the phrase BBW, and I hate the phrase BBW. And you know, we talked a little bit about it, and it's just, I think it's a derogatory phrase, not in its connotation, but in its implication. It's a very fetishized phrase. So you may have seen bashes going on this summer, and this is not a new thing. Okay, bashes have been going on for decades. Okay, this was actually something that was started by groups like NAFA, okay, the National Association for Fat Acceptance, folks like Bree, who were huge in fat acceptance and size acceptance events and bashing, right? And then it kind of took a turn, and what winds up happening is a bash is, if you don't know what a bash is basically, it's anywhere between 160 and 300 women, plus size women, and they're in a party mode kind of atmosphere, right? They could be at a hotel, they could be at a concert hall, or more like a catering hall, and they're hanging out. And that's cool. Hey, and I'm all about that. And we'll talk about some events that feature plus size women and that kind of stuff. But here's what happens. The dynamic shifts when you add men into that pot. Okay, so when you add men into that pot, you put even one, I don't care if it's one hetero male. Okay, so let's call it a hetero male, because if it's a gay male and they're not interested in women, then that's fine. You put one hetero male in the mix. I don't care if he's even interested in plus size women. He's going to be interested in plus size women, because everyone, you know, it's like this fetish, that fetish, I want to try it for a night, whatever. You put one man into that mix, and it's not one, it's 30, it's 50, it's 15, it's whatever. The dynamic of the weekend completely changes. And what winds up happening is women wind up, you know, talking to the men, and the men are talking to women, and then they're pitting against each other and this and that, and they're fighting over the boys and blah, blah. And anybody who says they don't fight over boys is absolutely out of their mind at a bash, okay? It is the number one reason that friendships break up at a bash, okay? So what winds up happening is, in the 80s and the 90s, this was a thing. And then in the 2000s, some men got a hold of it, right? And look, I'm speaking with ultimate accountability, okay? I went to these events, okay? I went to these events. I enjoyed the heck out of these events. I definitely was not as respectful as I should have been at these events. But on the other side, I'm not going to say that I wasn't doing what I was doing. But on the other side, there were definitely some folks accountable on the other part of that who, you know, were calling, like, I got them on Friday. I got them on Saturday. You can hang out with them on like chat rooms about hanging out with me. So, you know, not cool. I was objectified as well. Was I objectified as much as a plus size woman? Absolutely freaking not. Okay. So you go into these events and men all of a sudden not only get a hold of them to attend, but they get a hold of them and they start creating. Okay. Now, if you don't know anything about me, I have continued to own the largest plus size media brand in the world. I'm getting rid of it for several reasons. We talk about it every show, so we're not going to talk about it now. But we hosted events that were non-bash style events. Okay. We were watching it. We were hosting events that were mostly women. And, you know, if you were a male, you were a vendor or something like that. Or there were certain parts of the night that men were allowed in, like our champagne toast or something like that. Right. And, you know, I was a culprit too, because I said, oh, no men allowed, but I'm running the event, so I can be there, right? Yeah, idiot. So these events happen, and men start running them. Okay, now I never ran a bash. Our events were yoga, they were networking, they were stuff like that. But what you wind up happening is an accountability problem where men are creating, in my opinion, just my opinion, they're creating consent issues. Okay. And we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about some pros and the cons. Now, C Kitty TikTok says no different than watching The Bachelor, only it's with skinny women. Yeah, probably. I have an issue with that because I don't know. I don't watch The Bachelor that much, but there's a lot of drinking that goes on in these weekends, and there's a lot of other things that go on with these weekends. So Sarah Short says, Bash just emphasizes competition in a sense. I wish it was called a party or event like anything else. You hardly hear Bash in a good manner. Sarah, I totally appreciate that. On that note, we've hit our 10 minutes with TikTok. Love you and appreciate you. You can hop over to Instagram if you want, or you can log on to WGSN Going Solo Network either on YouTube or on Facebook. Stacy says, I have yet to not be objectified when approached by a man at the size I am now, mid-size. Oh, I want to talk about that. So I appreciate that. So let me log off of TikTok, and we're going to do a little bit of Instagram. What's up? What's up? What's up? Thanks everybody for watching. Y'all are amazing. Let me hit up my Insta. So Cece, you don't know this about me, but I put time limits on my social media. I'm not a huge fan of my social media, and I don't even want to be on it. So I put time limits on. So I've got to take the time limit off. I do this for you to promote the show. That's what I do for you because I love you, Cece, that much, and I love what you stand for. So now we're gonna hit up Instagram Live. Do I name it? Can I name it? Oh yeah. Okay. Radio show. Topic. Oh, this is going to get people ticked. BBW Bashes. Okay. And okay, cool. So let's hit it. Checking connection. Dope. And we're on live on Instagram. So we'll chat with the folks on Instagram. So what winds up happening, you know, after this kind of history comes into play, we're now in 2021. Okay. And what wound up happening is we experienced COVID, right? And so people were in this place of, and I want to talk about Sarah Short's, and I want to talk about Sarah's comment as well. I want to talk about Stacey's comment as well. But you come to this place where it's 2021. Some folks haven't even heard about a bash. There's apparently some folks on TikTok who have made it pretty big, you know, and in my opinion, are they making it big, promoting body positivity? No. In my opinion, they're promoting fetishism and they're promoting objectification. And, you know, they'll call it body positivity. In fact, I know friends who got messages from people who were like, I want you to be part of the right body positivity movement. Come join this house in Vegas or whatever. Now, I live in Vegas, okay? So don't get us confused, okay? I don't have a house. I mean, I have a house, but I'm not throwing whatever parties they're throwing. And it's this like, they are in this like poly kind of situation where it's just a couple of guys or one guy and a bunch of women, and there's a lot of fetishizing going on. And they promote this bash. And now people come up to this event and they want it to be empowering. And for some folks it is. So I want to get into the pros before I jump. You know, you're going to think I'm bashing bashes the whole time, right? And I'm not. Okay. People come into this event and they want it to be as empowering as they say it is. And for some folks it is, if you do it the right way. And if you've been there, the people on TikTok are creepy recruiters. I'm going to agree, but I'm not going to get involved with that conversation right now. But people want it to be empowering. And the show that I want to bring up, because it was hard to find a TV or a movie TV show or a movie that aligns itself with this topic, because it's not a big topic. It hasn't been mainstream enough to be in a lot of different TV shows and movies. But the one show you might have seen at BBW Bashes or something similar to it is the show Shrill. Now, I love the show Shrill. My magazine's covered Shrill. I couldn't, unfortunately, tried to get a hold of 80 Bryant, couldn't get a hold of her. We wanted to interview her. We got a hold of some other folks, actually, who were on the show. Actually, the woman, oh, goodness, and I forget her name, but she's cool as heck. The woman who runs that pool party in Shrill, the plus-size pool party, we got a hold of her, and we interviewed her, and it was really dope, and it was a lot of fun. But that show depicts, first of all, Shrill is probably one of the best depictions of what a plus-size woman, and like, here I am, like, talking about, oh, it's definitely one of the best depictions. Like, I freaking know, right? Like, I'm a plus-size woman, right? Stacey says I love that show, and I do too. I don't know, right? But I can, based on the media that I know, and I mean, you got to give me a little credit, okay? I'm not a plus-size woman, but I freaking ran the largest plus-size media company for quite a few years. So I know some stuff, okay? And definitely one of the best depictions of a plus-size human being, size acceptance, all sorts of stuff, right? So she goes to this pool party, and it's supposed to be this like great empowering thing, and it totally is, okay? For her, it was a huge moment, breakthrough, amazing, right? She goes, she makes friends, and there's this like latent sexuality involved where you're coming out of your body and you're feeling great about it. And I've never been that big of a person. I maxed out probably like 260 was my biggest, and I'm about 5'10" frame, but I was a bigger guy too. Like I'm just a big guy, like a big bone football player. It's more accepted for a guy to be a bigger guy as well, right? But I also have body dysmorphia, right? So that's, for me, that's a problem, right? So my body dysmorphia told me, not only are you this ugly, goofy nerd, which I like didn't get, and then found out later, like some cool girls had like crushes on me, like later, like 2 divorces later, found that out. Why not me? Like 1 divorce for me and 1 divorce for them. But I also thought that I was extremely fat, and still to this day wake up and feel extremely fat. It wasn't until about maybe a year or so ago, I remember it. I don't know if I've ever mentioned it on the show, Cece, but I was in the bathroom. I was seeing someone at the time. After a pretty bad breakup, we kind of got together, me and this other person, and it is what it is. And we were hanging out, and she was just getting ready for bed, and I'm brushing my teeth, like dad bod and all, doing my thing. And I swear to God, I kid you not, this was the first time in my life, brushing my teeth with my shirt off, the first time in my life where I looked at myself and I go, oh, you are hot. Like, damn, you are hot. And I'm like, so I come out of the bathroom, like brushing my teeth, like getting ready for bed, a little deodorant, Cece, I wore my good cologne for you, by the way. And I come out of the bathroom ready to just go to bed. And I go to the woman I'm seeing, I go to her name, I go, I'm hot. And she goes, yeah. What, like, okay. And I go, I'm hot. And she goes, yeah, you're hot. Like, what's your problem with it? You know what I mean? And I'm like, no, you don't understand. I've never thought I was hot before. Like, I never understood that I was attractive before. At this point, I'm 35 years old. I'm like, I never thought I was hot before. And she goes, yeah, you're hot, dude. Like, get over it. I had people that I had dated, whatever, influencers, models, attractive people, calling me. They were like, oh, you're easily an 8. You're easily a 9. I'm like, yeah, you're full of it. I'm a 4, right? So here's the cool part. The next day I wake up, never thought about whether I was hot again. Never cared. Focused on, am I funny? Am I attractive? Am I funny? Am I intelligent? Do I have nice things to say? Am I a person of faith? Am I a person of integrity? And from then I grew even more, right? Now, I've never experienced what you've experienced at a BBW Bash, right? Where you go to this place and, we used to call it, with my magazine, we used to call it cardigans to bikinis, right? You go in with a cardigan and then all of a sudden you're like, well, wait just a second, bro, like, let me take this off and put the bikini on, right? I never got to experience that because I'm not a plus size woman. It was never, and it wasn't beat into me. Like, it wasn't beat into me in the way that it's beat into plus size women. And please forgive me. I don't mean that physically. I hope I didn't trigger anyone, but it is metaphorically battered into into plus size women, into women in general, that their entire validation, everything that they're worth, most of what they're worth, comes from their sexuality, from their from their bodies, right? Men are a little different. So as fat as I was, and as fat as I thought I was, and as attractive as I was, and as unattractive as I thought I was, and please never am I equating fatness to unattractiveness, because it wasn't my fatness that had me feel unattractiveness. It was my fatness that made me feel unworthy of like wearing certain clothes, of playing certain sports. Like I was told by an adult, I don't want to disclose who, like I couldn't join karate because I was too fat, that kind of stuff. So never am I equating overweightness or fatness to lack of attraction, because if you know me, that is quite the opposite of what I think. Okay. I've dated fat women since I've dated women. Okay. So like, since I came into understand, like, I'm like 6 years old. I'm pointing to the chubby girl in class going, oh yeah, that's what I'm about right now. Right. So please don't misunderstand. Okay. Roddy says, it's been too long since we've communicated. P.S. You need to do more of these. I will absolutely do that. On that note, though, to my Instagram folks, to my folks, we're going to take a break. But on Instagram, it's a permanent break. If you're watching on Instagram, check us out. WGSN-DB. You could search us, Going Solo Network, on either Facebook or YouTube. It's live. It's the whole nine. I agree with Roddy. You should do more of these. Never seen you live. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you, Haley. But come check us out. Facebook and YouTube. We're live right now. And if you are on Facebook or YouTube, you know what we're doing. This is when we take our quick break. We got to pay some bills. Cece's going to throw in some advertisements, and then we're going to be back in a couple minutes. This is WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network Radio. I'm your host of The Barbershop, Dr. Christopher Salute. Tonight, we are talking about the very, very controversial and very anticipated BBW Bash. So please join us after the break. Thank you so much for commenting. We'll be back in a little bit. We're back. Cece, you got to give me some warning, girl. What's up? We're back. So I'm checking out. I get some follows. Who's following me over here? Cool. Dope. Sorry, I'm checking out some of the comments that we got from Insta and from Facebook, because what I did was on the show, or before the show, Cece, I don't know if you knew this, but I put out a little like APB, like, yo, hook it up. Give me some info. Have you been to a bash? Have you been to one of these things? What are your thoughts if you've never been to one before? You know what I mean? So, by the way, you are watching WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network Radio. My name is Dr. Christopher Salute. You're watching The Barbershop. Now, check this out. If you're just tuning in for the first time, this is part of a brand new network called the Going Bold Men's Network. We're talking about men's issues. We are eliminating and eradicating as much toxicity as possible. We are accountable. We are helping each other grow. And it's not just for men. We want women's opinions. We want folks in the LGBTQ community. We want folks who are non-binary. We want everybody to come in, chime in, help men be better men. It's gotten to a point in 2021 where everyone needs to help. And everyone needs to pull this ship up, and we need to fix men's mental health as well as women's mental health in general, right? Men's mental health and the way men are acting and the way men are being perceived and the way they're perceiving, right? So if you have not tuned into our show before, this is the anchor to a larger network. Come check me and Cece out tonight at the Boy and Girl Show at 8 p.m. Pacific, so that's 11 p.m. Eastern. And to be quite honest, I don't remember the other ones. 9 p.m. Mountain, 10 p.m. Central. I don't know. So I'm reading CC some of these, some of the comments that I got on Facebook and on Instagram. Not a lot of folks who attended wanted to comment, and that's cool, right? In fact, of the folks who commented, I had 19 plus size folks who said they did not attend. Only 3 had attended. Okay. Of the folks who had attended, some said, "I wish it were only women." Others said, just not a fan. Now, of the folks who didn't attend, okay, check this out. One person said, "Is this a safe space?" We'll address that. Okay. Bash is in the title itself is, I mean, why do you want to bash BBW when you want to praise? They're objectifying and hypersexualizing fat bodies in the name of inclusion. Oh, I hear comments like that, and this is from a dear friend of mine, and it just gets my brain like so hyper aroused. Like, I already love this human being, but I just want to dive through the phone and I want to give them the biggest hug because this is one of the most intelligent things. Let's say it again. They're objectifying and hypersexualizing fat bodies in the name of inclusion. But she goes, inclusion, which is what I was saying earlier. They creep me out. I went to one for about 5 minutes and left, which stinks because they're expensive. I've never felt safe at an event like this, which is fair to say. Sounds creepy AF, as the kids say, for the guys to be there. Yeah. And like, what is the actual point, you know? It's like one of those things that's too good to be true. I feel like it's a wild buffet. Now, I messaged this person because I'm friendly with them, and I said, like a buffet? And they said, no, like animals waiting to pounce and like prey on them. And I'm like, yeah. And then lastly, seemed like creepy guys who would just fetishize me, which sucks because it could be fun. Now, here's the thing. I want to jump into this for a second. I don't want you to think that because I don't go to these anymore, and to be honest, we had some differences of opinions, me and pretty much everybody there at any of the bashes, that I'm out to bash them. Okay, I'm not. Here are the pros. Okay, if you go and you're seasoned and you're going to make some girlfriends and you're going to just be comfortable and like all that stuff, it can be a really incredible weekend. What I have found in my experience, and this is just my experience, because I talk to a lot of people. I do. It's just I can easily connect with folks, and I don't mean to be like that. I do. You know, I can do 3 things at once, and I'm working, and I'm talking, and I'm connecting, and to be honest, I wear my heart on my sleeve. So the vulnerability is there, right? Like, I'm going to be vulnerable with you. I'm going to let you in on a thing or two. Am I going to let you in on everything? No. But so I do connect with folks fairly easily. And so at these bashes, I connected with a lot of great people. And the folks that I was connecting with, the folks who had been there for a while, who had really started to enjoy themselves, to be honest, more often than not, they had to learn from kind of a negative experience. Like, and I'm just checking, you're also very approachable. Thank you, Kim. I appreciate that. You're the best. And I want to talk about Stacy's comment earlier that I missed. The problem is that the women that I spoke to, okay, these are just the women that I spoke to, came out on the other side of this BBW bash equation and started to enjoy themselves after they had gone through some sort of trauma, right? There may have been, to be honest, an assault. There may have been a drunken night that they don't remember. There may have been a loss of a friend where they, you know what I mean? Like they went through something and lost some friends and were completely ostracized from a specific community. And I don't mean it to be like that, but that's kind of the way it was, right? And so they learned from their mistakes, much like I learned from my mistakes. And I'll tell you a little bit about me and like what happened with me. And I don't mind. Look, you want to go in with your eyes open. Like, if you're going to get an opinion from me, and all opinions are biased, right? If you're going to get an opinion from me, then what's up, right? You know, I went in to bashes, and I have a blog written about this. I'll eventually put out. Somebody had invited me to somebody that wound up saying some pretty not nice things about me. And I remember thinking to myself, because I was pretty into this person, why do I want to go to a bash when I want to hang out with you? You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not trying to be arrogant, but like my whole life was a bash. You know what I mean? Like if I wanted to throw a party, like I only hung out with fat women because that's what I was into, right? So like I could just I was still friends with a bunch of people. I could just be like, come over to my house and let's have a party or a barbecue. Like I do that now. Like, and it's not a BBW thing. It's like just my friends, you know, and my friends are fat, they're skinny, they're white, they're black, they're hetero, they're queer, they're like whatever. And we're just making some burgers, you know? So she's like, no, you want to go with me. And she had alluded to some stuff and, you know, oh, maybe we'll meet a girl there. And I was like, maybe, you know, I don't know. Wound up not going, went year or two later, got invited by somebody else. And if you can tell there's a pattern here, right? And I went and, you know, same kind of thing. We had kind of fallen off. We weren't really connected physically, didn't connect in any other way. And she went off and did her thing. And I didn't because like, I don't know, like, what am I going to do? Like date, like go on a date with somebody or like talk to somebody romantically in the room that we're sharing, you know? I told her, I said, go do your thing. Go have fun. Go meet guys, whatever. So I hung out with guys, to be honest. Jay John says, praise hands. I appreciate that. And so, you know, I went up hanging out with guys, to be honest. I hung out with her a little bit. I met some other people. I met a friend and we remained friends and we kind of fell off, but she was a teacher and I'm a professor. And so like, we talked about education for like 2 hours and like, people were like, okay, weirdos, like, aren't we here to like get drunk and have fun? I'm like, yeah, I mean, whatever, but that's how I connect with people, you know? So we're hanging out. So went onto the scene and then people started asking me like, what do you do? Right. And so I own these magazines. Right. And I said, well, I own these magazines and we do the stuff and whatever. And they're like, wait, you do what? You have this brand and you do these things? And yeah, you know, whatever. Now I'm not going to play it off. That humility lasted about 37 seconds because you tell a room of beautiful women, right? Because to me, everyone in that room was fairly attractive, right? Or most of them are my type. Like it's everybody, right? Most of them are my type. You tell them you run a magazine and that focuses on fat advocacy and their eyes light up, your eyes light up. I mean, it's a detrimental, it's a bad idea, right? Like the celebrity that goes along with that and people were treating me as such, it bred the worst form of arrogance that I've ever experienced. The worst. Turned me into, quite frankly, the worst version of myself. And I said this, I wrote this on a blog somewhere. I would have kicked myself in the crotch. Like if I saw myself at this party, I would have punched myself in the face. Okay. Like me now, punch myself in the face. Guy was a goober. He was a real, I can say the words, but real jerk. Okay. And so I did. I was promiscuous. I hooked up. I went around apologizing even this past year a little bit as much as I could without, you know, making waves because it's not, you know, your apologies sometimes are for you, right? They're not for them. And sometimes the damage has been done. But there were 1 or 2 folks that I wanted to connect with, really a small amount. And here was the conversation. Figured it out finally. Hey, I'm back. Oh, thank you, Haley. Here's the thing. So I went back to a couple of folks that I had met at Bashes. And there's like 1 or 2 folks in particular who I was really fond of. And I was bombarded at that point going to these bashes with women who wanted to talk to me and go hang out with me and learn about the magazine, be part of the magazine, date me, be partners with me. I don't know what the motive was. I really don't. And there were 1 or 2 folks that I went back to this past year. And this is what the message sounded like. Hey, person, you're such an amazing and splendid person. And I didn't give you the time of day that I should have. And I didn't give you the energy that I should have. And you're literally, physically, metaphorically, you know, intelligently, emotionally, one of the most attractive people on the planet. And how dare I treat you like that is how I basically phrased it. And, you know, the response was like, yeah, some of that's true, you know, but I appreciate you, you know, and I was able to reconnect with at least one of them. And that's a metaphor for, you know, how those events can be. Hold on. I just wish we didn't need a title in general when I talk about my girlfriend. I don't emphasize she's a skinny girl. When you find out your partner's BBW, it's a whole conversation. Yeah, we'll talk. I mean, I think we need to work on wording our titles to be more clear in the meaning. Sarah, we can talk about that I could do a whole network on that, which I can't and I won't because we're gearing ourselves away from plus size advocacy. We are doing other things. But let me finish this thought and then I'll jump into that. Here's the thing. The reason that I was treating people like that is because I was surrounded by people who wanted my attention. And so Look, should I have done that? Nope. Was it easy for me to do that? Yep. Because there was always somebody around the corner. I mean, there were nights where I'd kiss one girl and go make out with another girl. It was terrible. Absolutely terrible. Worst version of myself. Why? Well, I'm an educated. I looked fit, but dad bod all the way. I'm a little bigger than I was then. I was a little bit more fit then. Educated. You look at me and think I'm wealthy. I mean, I made good money in my life, but I probably spent $1 more than every dollar I made. But I made good money. I still do. I'm not your typical guy in general. Like, I don't play Xbox. Like, I played Xbox the other night for the first time, and it was like 20 minutes I was done, right? And so when I show interest in plus size women who usually, I'm not going to stereotype, but usually goes through bullying and these cooler guys or whatever, more attractive guys tend to make fun of them or tease them. And don't forget, I was teased. I was not an attractive, like I was a nerd in high school. So like I went through that too. I didn't get it. You know what I mean? But like when I give you that attention, yeah, it's gonna spark an interest in you. And so if I do that to 25 people have that experience and that feeling, but I can only hang out with one. And so 24 people are pissed off or disappointed or whatever. And so not cool, right? But that's happening for the whole weekend, right? Because whether they say it or not, a lot of women are there to meet a guy, right? And it's a really challenging experience because you put so much emphasis, you put so much, you're looking forward to it so much that when it doesn't happen or it does happen, it's like, you know what I mean? And, Cece knows this about me. I'm not going to disclose who, but, I've been engaged to like my celebrity crush. I've went on a date or two with another celebrity crush. And it's like, and these are big for me. No pun intended. But when they don't turn out to be who you think they are, it's disappointing. It's hurtful to you. Like, did I do something wrong? And so you internalize that. And so this is what's happening over and over and over at the bash. Now, Sarah, I want to jump into your comment, and then I'm going to hop back onto to my agenda. Sarah says, why do we even have to label? And I agree with that. Okay. It's the same thing as, we're getting a lot better about, I don't want to say it's the same thing, but like racial labels, right? Black and white and that kind of stuff. Like, he's dating that black woman or she's dating that black guy. Okay. Is that necessary at that point, right? It's necessary in a crime. Okay, he's white, 5'8", beard, glasses. I'm 5'10", by the way. I'm describing somebody else. Could be of Latin descent, darker skin. You know what I mean? Full head of hair, blonde, whatever, right? That's important. But like, is it important to label? I don't know. And here's the thing: the very first time I went to a bash, hanging out with the guys, because that's what I'm doing, right? I'm not trying to hook up. I'm loyal to this person I'm with. I'm trying to meet some friends, maybe somebody in the future, because the person I'm with is not really who I'm going to be spending more time with because we weren't vibing, right? And I hang out with these guys. And this guy comes up to me. We're still friends. And he comes up to me and he says, I'm so glad you're here. He goes, I got to tell you, I had a great week. And I said, what's going on? He goes, I came out. I go, that's great. He goes, yeah, when did you come out? I go, come out. I'm not gay. I'm straight. I'm a hetero male. No. I came out to my family and friends as I date fat women. Like, I like fat women. And I'm like, bro, you didn't come out. Okay. People in the LGBTQ community, I tend to mesh Q in community. Sorry. People who are LGBTQ, people who are non-binary, people who are trans, people who are vastly different in who they like and how they're wired as far as society is concerned, right? I don't think they're that vastly different, but a dramatically new approach to how they date because we've been so sheltered, they come out. Those are folks who have been bullied, beaten, threatened, killed, right? These are folks who come out. These are folks who truly have a reason to have hidden themselves and truly have a reason to celebrate now. You, sir, got made fun of when the movie Shallow Hal came out. I know because I did too. You did not come out. You have to explain to your parents that you like a certain size woman. It's going to be okay. I've had that conversation at least 150 times. Okay, well, you're not fat. Why do you like fat women? First of all, I'm a little chunky, so thanks. Second of all, yeah, it's fine. You don't have to be fat to like a fat person. You don't have to be black to date a black man or woman. You don't have to be Latino to like Latino women. For some reason, over the past couple of years, I don't know why, of the people that I've dated, everyone's been fat, but I've only dated folks who are on the LGBTQ spectrum somewhere, probably because they're more liberal, or it's just the vibe that they're giving out, or people of color. They might be half black, they might be a quarter Latino, something, Native American, whatever. It's just what I like. It's just what I'm gravitating towards. And before that, it was like strictly white, brunette, Italians, like whatever, You don't have to come out to explain that to somebody. You don't have to come out to explain that to what you do in the bedroom. If you're engaging in some kinky stuff, that is you all day. That is you and your partner. I don't care who asks about it. Thanks for asking. We're going to go do our thing. Give me the whipped cream, whatever, right? I don't need to explain that to you. And I certainly don't need to explain over and over that I like plus size women. I would need to explain over and over that I'm gay or whatever, because that's something that people can't get a hold of. Tim Marie says, the reason labels aren't needed is because being fat isn't who we are. It's just what we look like. The labels will always perpetuate the marginalization of larger people. And Tim Marie, I love that. I know Tim Marie and I had that conversation all the time. And to Stacey's point earlier, at any size she was objectified all the time. So what's the difference, right? Kiki says, Kiki, why are men afraid to openly be into fat girls? I know not all, but I've definitely come across a few in my time. I don't get it. To me, I think it's funny as heck. The last person that I was pretty serious about that I dated for a while, white, brunette, Italian, haha, Chelsea. There you go. And Chelsea and I dated for a minute. But the last person that I was into for a while, we dated for some time, and it was a serious relationship, and it had its ups and downs. I loved, and she loved. We'd get dialed up and we'd go out to dinner. And I look, I'm not going to hide it. I have an eating disorder. I binge, bro. I do it. I'm going to binge, and I'm working on it. It's something that I'm actually getting a hold of over the past year. I've gotten a hold of it. I still have my relapses on a Friday or a Saturday night. I'm still going to binge. It's tough. I'm getting there. So I'm buffet all the way. Take me to a buffet. I don't need a drink. Give me a club soda or a Diet Coke or Pepsi, and leave me to the book. Just let me know where the crab legs are, bro. I'm in. So one of my favorite things to do with her, we would get dressed up, and I mean dressed up. Like I'm wearing a sport coat or a suit jacket with a pair of jeans, nice pair of shoes. She's wearing a gold dress. Oh, she looks so pretty. And we're at the buffet, and people are staring. First of all, because we were hot, but second of all, because she's plus. And she was taller, size 28 plus. And man, I mean, I would grab her by the waist, or I'd grab her tush, or I would just do whatever. And obviously with consent, but yeah, guy, get your eyes off it. It's a fat girl eating at a buffet with a not fat dude. Let it go. You know what I mean? And yeah, we're dressed nice, So I don't know. I don't know why people don't do that. It is what it is. So what I'm going to say, I mean, we only have a couple minutes typically in my show, but we've had a lot of great comments. Thank you everyone for the comments. Typically, we go to what the experts say. Here's my problem with going to what the experts say. When you Google bashes or you Google size acceptance events, I'll do it live. You're gonna get my magazines. We've got an article on the evolution of the size acceptance event, right? So you can throw that up there. We've got the What is a Big and Beautiful Bash, right? So we've got a ton of different events, or a ton of different things, articles that talk about the size acceptance event or the BBW Bash. So it's called the BBW Bash. Some folks call it the size acceptance events. But Erica Hudson wrote this one, which was dope. I think she runs a bash group down in San Antonio or something like that, Houston. So she wrote one here. I wrote one a couple of years back. I mean, there's really not a lot. There was one in the Huntington Post written by what's it called? Lacey, some Stacey Lacey. But there's a lot of these websites, and then, to be honest, then you start getting into adult sites, really, So there's really not a lot, but basically, it's what we talked about. If you've never seen yourself as ugly or hot, you wouldn't see it physically as a difference. If you think I'm fat, you are. But if you think I'm ugly because I'm fat, it's environmental belief in your surroundings. That mindset isn't easy, and it's almost euphoric when you do look in the mirror and think, wow, I'm hot right now, for no actual reason, because you don't have those opinions weighing in. The physical doesn't matter then. So why BBW got to be different? And I appreciate that. And we'll talk, we'll talk a bit more about, maybe we have to do a sequel to the show. I don't know. I don't know. Look, here's the thing. If if being a plus size woman wasn't so frowned upon, my magazines wouldn't have been sold, right? Like we wouldn't have anything to write about. So it was good that we had something to write about, but it's terrible that they're always going to have something to write about. If you don't know, I'm selling the magazines, and I'm confident that actually those magazines are going to sell more and more subscriptions over the next 10 or 15 years, because we are getting bigger as a country. We're getting fatter as a country. And the fatter we get, the more fat phobic we get. Now, I have no problem with you taking charge, making changes in your life for whatever reason. I'm adjusting my diet because I have a heart condition and I want to live. Like, I have a lot to live for. Like, I've had some fun in my life. I want to have more. I want to find my partner. I want to make a little baby with them. I want to have a house here in Vegas. I've had in New York. I want to have several. I want to go on vacations with them. I want to do all these great things, right? I need to take care of my ticker, right? It's fine. I'm not losing weight for any other reason other than that. And my suits are a little tight and they're expensive. Honestly, if my suits could get taken out, I'm good. So, but the fat and weight phobia that happens when plus size women lose weight and men lose weight too. It's like, you could say something like, "Oh man, you're looking good," and they're like, "Oh yeah, but I got to lose some weight." "Oh girl, you're looking good." "Oh yeah, for now, but I got to lose some weight." And it's like, I don't know. It is a phenomenon that I'll never fully understand, that I tried to understand for many years, and I wrote about for many years. And I don't know. Maybe I'll do some research on it at the university level. That'll be great. In closing, here's what I want to say. Look, you want to go to a bash, go to a bash. I'm not bashing bashes. I do have strong opinions on them, and I did when I went to them. Even then, I did. I had problems with the fact that they didn't serve water freely. You had to pay $6 for water. Do I care about paying $6? No. But when I was walking 10 women a night up to their rooms, tucking them in and buying them 2 waters at $12, yeah, that gets expensive because they were literally falling on people. And I, as a male, couldn't watch that happen. I did the same thing for guys. There were guys falling all over themselves. I bought them water, walked them to their room or to a cab. Some guys didn't have rooms because they were hoping to hook up with somebody who had a room. Like, are you kidding me? Right? That's the level of gross creepiness that I don't love. You want to go to a bash and experience empowerment, friendship, community, incredibleness? Fine. Do it. Have a blast. Good luck leaving it at that level, though. Because the minute you introduce a dude or whatever into that equation, it gets creepy. And I was talking with a friend of mine this afternoon who's like she's an OG, right? And she was like, I even found that some of the younger women would try to get men's attention by flirting with other women, by, being this sexual being and all these other things. And the cattiness got to be a little much too. And this is somebody who's OG, right? And so, what happens? What are some alternatives? CurvyCon's a great alternative. I always went to CurvyCon with my magazines. Our old events I thought were pretty great. We did yoga events, networking events, champagne toasts, spa days, all sorts of fun. Vision board brunches. Those were the best. Buffet brunch and vision board was fantastic. Fashion shows, right? There's plus size fashion shows that you can go to. Clothing swaps, networking events. The first event we ever threw, oh, so dope. It was a yacht that we rented, plus size networking event. Bring your spouse, bring your friend, bring whoever. So we had like 25, 30 people on a yacht networking, just being awesome, like dope. And to be honest, I felt uncomfortable myself because I do tend to date plus size women. So you know what I did? Grabbed my cigar, Timmery, and I went to the front of the boat and I smoked it with a couple of friends and I just chilled, and I let them have their fun, right? But we had sponsors. Oh, so much fun. I think we made money. I don't even remember. We might have broken even, but we had a blast. So there's a ton of things you can do if you don't want to go to a BBW bash. There's also a ton of meetups you can go to, right? 1,000,001 things you can go to. If you want to go, go. As you would be in any other circumstance, be safe. Watch your drink. Travel in pairs. Don't give up too much information to a group of women because they're probably going to use it against you to get the guy next to you. Unfortunately, it's what happens, right? And that's kind of how it goes. But again, that's just coming from somebody like me who's been to them. You want to experience it for yourself, absolutely experience it for yourself. I want to really sincerely, we had some great comments. We had some amazing enthusiasm today. I think it's just, the network's starting to build up, CC, right? I want to thank everyone for coming on the show. You have just watched The Barbershop on WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network Radio. And I am your host, Dr. Christopher Sloot. I want to thank you so much for exploring the topic of BBW Bashes, the pros and the cons. If you're hanging out with us, we have our next show in 10 minutes. It's called The Boy and Girl Show with Cece and I. It's going to be a blast. It's our first show together since Cece interviewed me 3 years ago, probably. So we're going to have a good time. We're going to talk about Netflix and chill. Tune in every other Wednesday. For now, it's going to be every Wednesday soon to the Bold Network or Going Bold Network, and just hang out with us and help men be better men. Help everyone just meld together. That whole Mars-Venus thing is legit. Help us figure this all out together. I want to thank you so much for your energy. I want to thank you so much for your prayers and thoughts for Roulette. I want to thank you so much for your time. You have been watching The Barbershop, and that's all I got for you. Cut.